Hello and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwekisa. I'm coming to you from COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Now, this is a COP that has been dubbed the Climate Finance COP, and this simply means that the focus of this COP will be about actualizing financial commitments from highly developed countries. And so on the program, we'll be hearing from the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Honorable Mike Mposha, who will give us some of the pronouncements so far at COP29 and also what the focus for the ministry is at the end of this COP. And also on the program, we will be hearing from some of the VCA partners on the impact of climate change on the tourism industry in Zambia. Join me on the other side. Now imagine if trees could provide Wi-Fi. Just how many trees you would plant? Well, they provide oxygen. We definitely cannot do without it. Destruction of nature, such as forests, has led to irreversible climatic changes to our world. Join me as I talk to policy formulators, change makers, and climate change interest groups on Climate Check, weekly on this channel. Now you are the solution to climate change. We start off the program by hearing from WWF Zambia Chief External Engagement Officer Fungai Musana, who is also attending COP29, and he talks about the impact of climate change on the tourism sector and the off-takers of the sector who depend on it for their livelihoods. Let's hear his views.
So far, so good. I think we've done a very good job with regards to the loss and damage. I think there's a lot of progress being made there. Also, we've noted that NBS has been put front and center, which is a good idea for COP, as well as just ensuring that we've got actionable climate actions. And this is also very important for us as WWF, as well as Zambia. As you know, Zambia has a number of tourist attraction centers. You're looking at the Victoria Falls, you're looking at the Ruangwa National Park, Kachwere National Park. And all this, what you see is that the animals and humans are fighting for water, as it were, because we haven't had so much water available as we normally have it. So in that aspect, the animals are going to far-reaching places, which is becoming more difficult for tourists to see these animals which they come to see to Africa. So that in itself may have an impact on the income that comes from tourism. Most importantly, you may have noticed that the Victoria Falls, the water quantity has really reduced, and obviously reducing the thunder that we all like to see when you go to the Victoria Falls. And that in itself, again, may have impact on people coming to see the Victoria Falls. Nonetheless, we believe that this will turn around, and we know that a lot of efforts have been done to ensure that we can work on these things, such as desilting and of various areas that have water, to ensure that animals can come and be attracted back to where the places they can see these animals. Remember, the communities are the owners of these places, and they're the ones that get money, or should I say, that get a livelihood out of the activities that they do. So it is important for them to actually participate to ensure that they help the various land and other ecological systems that have been affected by lack of water. And we've got an example, I think, in the Songwe, where the river has really dried down, and today the communities are front and center to coming up with check dams, and this has been supported by WWF and other organizations. We believe that if it is led by communities, then they will be able to be the ones to support and do the right things for nature. I'm happy to say that we are working with the United Nations Development Fund, as well as other organizations, to ensure that people are aware on what to do when they are first encountered with elephants. But also we note that the elephants are also coming to areas where people are living, mainly because they are looking for water. So we believe that by ensuring that people are aware and they are taught how to react, not to tamper with these animals, because the animals mean well and only just coming to fetch for water. But nonetheless, we also believe that we should create fences, which are naturally-based fences, to ensure that the animals do not cross over to where people are living. So for instance, we are trying to use chili bombs as well as chili as for fencing, but also looking at maybe electric fences to ensure that there is a barrier between where animals would live and where humans could live, and this will ensure that we reduce on human-wildlife conflict. The public need to appreciate that what attracts tourists are the animals. So we need to see how we can live with the animals. So instead of being in conflict with them, we need to see how we can live with them in harmony. And this is only by ensuring that we are able to undertake certain activities, like I said, such as increasing water availability for the animals, but also looking at ensuring that we create boundaries where the animals cannot cross over. And we believe that as human beings, we need to survive, but equally the animals need to survive. And instead of fighting, I think we can coexist. And this is what we'll be asking for. So we have a very long expectation paper which has looked at 3 points, and one of them is nature-based solutions, which is front and center. And we believe that nature-based solutions, if used well, can also help with tourism, because we are able to, like I said earlier on, create fences using nature to ensure that human-wildlife conflict is reduced, but also looking at desilting of places which are low-lying and we can have water there, again using nature-based solutions, which is locally led. So we believe that will be the best way we can get out of COP. And also ensuring that we're able to attract financing from the global north to the global south to support these activities.
This is Climate Check. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Now imagine if trees could provide Wi-Fi. Just how many trees you would plant? Well, they provide oxygen. We definitely cannot do without it. Destruction of nature, such as forests, has led to irreversible climatic changes to our world. Join me as I talk to policy formulators, change makers, and climate change interest groups on Climate Check, weekly on this channel. Now you are the solution to climate change. Welcome back to Climate Check. We now hear from the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Honorable Mike Mposha, on some of the pronouncements and engagements he has had here at COP29. And also we'll be hearing from the Executive Director of the Loss and Damage Fund, Dr. Ibrahim Diong, as he talks about his connection to Zambia and the Zambian government.
COP29, like any other COP, is very, very important to us as a country. First of all, because it avails us an opportunity to meet various stakeholders who are very critical in the fight against climate change. As you have seen, just today alone, we've lined up a number of meetings, meeting various key stakeholders who are very, very important to us as a country in the fight against climate change. Just this morning, we had a meeting with the United Nations Capital Development Fund Executive Secretary, a very fruitful engagement. We've just finished another meeting with the Loss and Damage Foundation Director General. Again, a very, very important meeting to us as a country to ensure that we engage all these various stakeholders in our quest to look for solutions to push back the effects of climate change, to also ensure that we move quickly in mobilizing resources which are required to push up our interventions which we've put in as a country, for example, renewable alternative sources of energy, building resilience, in terms of also infrastructure for water harvesting, to enhance irrigation, and all the various interventions that were put in place. So the COP29 provides us a platform where in one place we can meet different key stakeholders. So this is very, very important to us. And our expectations will be that at the end of the COP29, we will have pushed and resolved to ensure that finances that are required, particularly for the developing countries, are unlocked so that we can quickly begin to attend to the devastating effects of climate change. So really this is very, very important to us, and I'm extremely happy that we are not just here as government officials, but we've been joined by many other players from the private sector. As you saw, the meeting we had earlier in the day with the other members of the Zambian delegation, mainly from the private sector. This is how it should be, because the fight against climate change, the issues around climate change are not just for government or government officials only, but we need the support of the private sector. And to see a number of people from various sectors, private sector, from the banking or financial institutions, and the other sectors of our country is extremely delighting for me as a delegation leader. And this speaks to the fact that we are getting the message that climate change it affects everybody, but also it's a fight that cannot be left in the hands of government alone. So the message that His Excellency the President, Dr. Hakainde Hichilema, has been pushing to the country is sinking, is getting into the people are buying into this message, and hence this very, very positive response. And I can only thank the Zambians who've made it here, and you have also heard their desire is to see to it that after our outing here, we should be able to sit down collectively with the private sector to pen down the issues that will have spoken to, that will have been resolved here, and quickly begin to make a follow-up so that the impact or the benefits of our being here should be felt by our people. So our expectations are very, very high, and we are happy to be here with a very good team, both from government and the private sector. And I think that when we go back home, we should be able to pick all the lessons, all the issues we'll have resolved, and begin to run with them and pass on to the various ministries, various institutions, those that may need to, those that will be tasked to make a follow-up on a number of issues. I'm also happy that the meeting we've just finalized now, we've just concluded. We've resolved that the first board meeting of the Loss and Damage Foundation, first board meeting in Africa, will be hosted by Zambia, obviously after the clearance procedures, but we are happy that it will be coming to Zambia, and this has been agreed. Through the engagements with the various institutions, various organizations, as indicated earlier, we've lined up a number of meetings the next 10 days, and we think that we'll use this opportunity, our being here, the opportunity to attend COP29, to ensure that we meet as many organizations, as many stakeholders as possible, to push the agenda of ensuring that we see what opportunities are available, what lessons are there in ensuring that we improve, we build capacity to accessing funds, to ensure that we attend to the challenges that we have back home.
Well, as you know, I'm the newly elected Executive Director of the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage. The purpose of the meeting today, first of all, is to thank Zambia, express my gratitude for the support they provided that led to my election as the new ED of the fund. I also want to use the opportunity to brief the Minister of the progress we made so far, which has been remarkable. When the fund was launched 2 years ago and decided to be operationalized last year, many were doubtful about that speed, but we were able to do that in a very short period of time. And the role of the leadership of Zambia was extremely important in getting us to where we are. So the Minister and I also talked about the needs of Zambia and how the fund is supposed to be operational as quick as possible to support the countries. It was extremely important for me to listen and understand how best we can support the fund. but I also want to renew the commitment of the fund and as soon as possible start supporting the country so we can be relevant to the effort, the strategy plan on loss and damage. I also obviously use the opportunity to ask the support of the minister to continue advocating for the fund so we can raise more money, build awareness and keep the momentum. And I have no doubt Zambia, as always, will show the leadership they've shown in the past, and so we can continue to make the fund more relevant. So it's been a very fruitful meeting, extremely informative for me, and I look forward to visiting Zambia as soon as possible. You may also know in 2026, Zambia will be hosting the first board meeting of the fund in Africa. It's an opportunity to showcase what Zambia has to offer, and I look forward to that meeting.
You are watching Climate Check. We'll take a short break. On the other side, we will be joining Dominic Davis Chifumbe, who had an opportunity to speak to the UNDP resident representative at an art gallery exhibition where they are trying to mobilize resources to go towards fighting the human-wildlife conflict which is currently happening in Livingstone. And this is meant to preserve our tourism sector. Now imagine if trees could provide Wi-Fi, just how many trees you would plant? Well, they provide oxygen. We definitely cannot do without it. Destruction of nature such as forests has led to irreversible climatic changes to our world. Join me as I talk to policy formulators, change makers and climate change interest groups on Climate Check, weekly on this channel. Now you are the solution to climate change.
A picture worth thousands of words, rooted with a deep message of how climate change has adversely affected our environment. Zambia has been affected by an El Nino-induced drought, resulting in food and water insecurity, leading to many obvious conflicts as people and animals learned to share the little food resources, water and conducive habitats in the survival of the fittest situation. This has resulted in human-wildlife conflict.
This has been reinforced by the drought situation. And as you know, Southern Africa has come under severe drought, what I'll call the El Nino effect. And this has been quite unprecedented, as you can clearly see its impact in terms of decimation of the water points. You look at the Victoria Falls, look at the Zambezi River, the water levels have completely reduced. And so as a result, the animals also require food. The animals also require access to water. And so as a result, we've seen movement of animals from the Mositunya Park, but also from across other countries, from Botswana and Zimbabwe. We've seen a trek of elephants in search of water and pastures, and as a result moving into communities and causing destruction. This is really the source of conflict, and therefore as humanity we have a responsibility, working together as United Nations, working together as private sector, working with civil society, and importantly working with the communities to try and find ways of ensuring there is that coexistence between the animals and the communities.
The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP in Zambia, under the Antomwe Initiative, ran an art exhibition that centered on raising awareness and resources to support the coexistence of humans and wildlife.
The whole idea here is to represent how human beings and wildlife can peacefully coexist. And what is reinforcing this, of course, we are coming from unprecedented drought situation. And as a result, we've seen conflict between human beings and wildlife. We've seen elephants and other animals moving out of the Mositunya Wildlife Park into the local communities, and therefore causing destruction and therefore creating the conflict.
To support the initiative, visual artist and advocate for climate change, is passionate about human and wildlife coexistence.
So when it comes to climate change and art, sometimes people don't understand what is happening exactly. And we as artists come in to put a visual representation of the things that are actually going on. So we are the voices for the things that cannot speak for themselves. And as a collective from New Zambian, we are supported by a certain project under the UNDP, which is a small grants program. And with that program, we focus to highlight the things that are currently happening in the Zambian landscapes when it comes to climate change.
The UNDP has a sustainable plan beyond the exhibition on how best to solve the rampant cases of human-wildlife cases in Zambia.
Providing pastures, providing water points, water pans, particularly in the areas where animals are, but also looking at ways in which we can protect the communities through sustainable ways of ensuring they also contribute to the biodiversity conservation and the protection of the animals. This is not a one-off thing. We believe after this exhibition there will be a revitalized awareness for us to support this challenge of the animals and human conflict within the communities.
According to a 2023 ministerial statement, Zambia recorded 4,206 reports of animal-human conflict in the second quarter of the year. Dominic Davis Chifumbe reporting in Lusaka.
We've come to the end of Climate Check for this week. Do make a date with me next week, same time, same channel. From me, Mary Mwekisa, right here in Baku, Azerbaijan at COP29. I sign out. Goodbye.